Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of Blood Magic by Nora Roberts, performed by Susan Erickson. For Cat, one of the brightest lights in my life. How far away the stars seem, and how far is our first kiss, and ah, how old is my heart. William Butler Yeats. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. William Shakespeare. 1. Summer, 1276. On a bright day as summer faded, Brana gathered herbs, flowers, foliage, all for salves and potions and teas. They came to her, neighbors, travelers, for their hopes and healings. They came to her, the dark witch, as once they'd come to her mother, with aches in body, in heart, in spirit, and paid with coin or service or trade. So she and her brother, her sister, had built their lives in Clare, so far from their home in Mayo, far from the cabin in the woods where they had lived, where their mother had died. So she had built her life, more contented, more joyful than she'd believed possible since that terrible day their mother had given them all but the dregs of her own power, had sent them away to be safe as she sacrificed herself. All grief, Brana thought now. All duty and fear as she'd done what was asked of her, as she'd led her younger brother and little sister away from home. They'd left love, childhood, and all innocence behind. Long years. The first few spent, as their mother had bid, with their cousin and her man, safe, tended, welcomed. But the time had come, as time does, to leave that nest, to embrace who and what they were, and would ever be. The Dark Witches 3. Their duty, their purpose above all else? To destroy Cavan, the dark sorcerer, the murder of their father, Dachyi the Brave, of their mother, Sorhach. Cavan, who had somehow survived the spell the dying Sorha had cast. But on such a bright day in summer's end, it all seemed so far away, the terrors of that last winter, the blood and death of that last spring. Here, in the home she'd made, the air smelled of the rosemary in her basket, of the roses planted by her husband on the birth of their first child. The clouds puffed white as lambs across the blue meadow of the sky, and the woods, the little fields they'd cleared, as green as emeralds. Her son, not yet 3 years, sat in a patch of sun and banged on the little drum his father had made him. He sang and hooted and beat with such joyous innocence, her eyes burned from the love. Her daughter, barely a year, slept clutching her favored rag doll while guarded by Cachel, their faithful hound. And another son stirred and kicked in her womb. From where she stood, she could see the clearing and the little cabin she, Eamon, and Tegan had built near to 8 years before. Children, she thought now. They'd been but children who could not embrace childhood. They lived there still, close. Eamon the loyal, so strong and true. Tegan, so kind and fair. So happy now, Brana thought, and Tegan so in love with the man she'd married in the spring. All so peaceful, she thought, despite Bryn's banging and hooting. The cabin, the trees, the green hills with their dots of sheep, the gardens, the bright blue sky.